Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are back on the updates 1.79 dev server, and we're going to be looking in this video at the top tier vehicles which have had changes on them since the second dev server. And the reason for doing this is just to make sure that you are informed once these vehicles come to the live server. So the first one to talk about, which isn't actually to do with ground forces surprisingly, is the FJ4B. Now the FJ4B has some different bomb loads. As you can see, it now has access to 4 500-pounders and 2 100-pounders. So this has been added to the machine. Will it make that much of a difference? I highly doubt it, but it is just something to make sure that you know about going forward with it. And let's just make sure to show you what they look like on top of everything else. There we go. So there are the bombs. They are, I suppose you would call them new age bombs, and that's what they look like. Moving on to some placements for the Americans. So some people have been shocked by the fact that the XM803 has come before the MBT70 now. Now, because it has a lower BR, even though the vehicle was made after the MBT70, I think it's completely fine putting it there in front of the MBT70 in this little folder here. But the main change, because it seems a lot of people were worried about the fact that the Abrams, you would have to get the XM803 when a lot of people have already ground out the MBT70. Well, it isn't folded anymore. Well, the Abrams was never folded. These are folded. The thing that is missing is the arrow. So you see how there's an arrow here between all of these? It means that you have to research the vehicle before it in order to gain the vehicle here. So the reason why I have the MBT70 unlocked but not the T95 is because the MBT70 did not used to have one of these arrows. Now the Abrams does not have an arrow from the MBT70 to the Abrams. So that means that all you have to do is research, I believe it's 5 or 6 rank 5 vehicles, and you will have access to the Abrams and be able to research it. So you don't have to go through these 2 tanks if you don't want to. I personally would say it would be a good idea to do it, but you don't have to. When it comes to the general armor profile of the Abrams, it doesn't seem to have changed at all. They have changed the fire systems, though, on the machine when it comes to the blowout doors. So what will happen now is if the ammunition is hit and it is above or away from the engine, then the ammunition will be allowed to cook off, and you can't actually FPE it, so it has to cook off, and then after that what happens is the ammunition is then restored, but you don't have to use a piece of FPE. It doesn't do any damage to any external components such as your turret or your engine, but it is something to think about. It does take quite a while for the ammunition to cook off, meaning that you will be running around on fire for a little bit while everything is going on. Let's move on to the Germans. So the Leopard 2A4 has had a lot of changes to it, and some of these are kind of hard for me to describe, but all I can do is my best, but can't really give you hard facts. First of all, somebody asked me to have a look at the skins on the Leopard, so I thought I'd do that for you. Here is the brown camouflage, here is the winter camouflage, and here is the tricolor Kark camouflage. This is the one that everybody loves, and I am not surprised. It is a beautiful camouflage. On top of this, we also have the damage model preview for tanks, not just aircraft. So you can see when this thing is dead, that's what it looks like. So, I mean, what else can you say? When you change the condition of it, it makes it look less destroyed, but it's still destroyed. At the end of the day, if we look at the 2A4, what has changed on it, it seems like its turret armor has been changed, and also the rounds of the gun. So, the main weak spot of the front of the 2A4 is still this gun mantlet area. If you're able to penetrate it, you can kill the commander, the loader, or the gunner down here, but it's a pretty hard shot nowadays. We were testing with the Type 90 from ranges of 650 and also 1600. The Type 90 was not able to penetrate this area here. It was not able to penetrate this area here at 500, but it was able to go through the optics port and through this armor, which is incredibly surprising, since this armor is thicker than this armor here, or at least that's what it says on the model. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. It just seems a little bit odd to me that we were able to penetrate the optics ports, but overall the turret is getting a buff to its armor. Also, there's more armor on this plate here. To give you an idea of what's going on, let's take the USA and let's go the Abrams, and we'll have a look at where you can penetrate it. So you can see that you can't penetrate the cheek, you cannot penetrate here, but you can penetrate here. So they've weakened the turret in a certain area, the optics port, or they haven't upgraded its armor, I should say, but in other areas, such as where there isn't the optics port on the turret, the only place you'll have to pen it is around the gun breech here, and a lot of the time the shot will be eaten by the cannon breech, but if you sneak through you can hit the commander, or you can just hit it straight through here, annihilate the commander, and hopefully hit the ammunition, which is back here. At least that's the hope. Going through this side is never going to happen for the Abrams, and even, let's just see the Type 90. So the Type 90 with its JM33, which is the APF SDS round, it does go through here at 500 meters, but if we change this to, let's say, 1600, then it doesn't. It's as simple as that. So we'll just change that to 1500, and as you can see, it's 500 millimeters of equivalent protection for APF SDS, and therefore it is able to go through this area, which is 450. This is 500 for APF SDS. This is 360. So overall, you are getting a buff to your armor of your turrets, but you're gaining a big weak spot. So it's pretty much like the Abrams when we talk about its gun mantlet and its horizontal drive, where there's a hole basically in the armor around the turret ring. That's where the kill shot for the Abrams is. You can also go through all of this easily. Once again, 300, 300, 300. So your main places where you've gained armor is here, where it's important to stop them hitting your ammunition in the back, and also around here as well. So yeah. But yeah, that's the kill shot on the Abrams. On this, the kill shot is not going to be the optics port, but it's going to be the one which you'll be able to reliably pen. The kill shot for the Leopard 2A4 is going to be the gun mantlet, and then somehow sneaking through to hit the ammunition in the back here, which is not an easy shot to make. You ain't getting through this. Simple as. On top of the armor changes, the Leopard 2A4 has had a new round. This is the DM23. It has 433 millimeters of penetration compared to the 417, so it's gaining about 20, and overall it is obviously a better round, 1650 meters per second as usual, and this round will cost you 900 on the dev server, which may change once it gets to live server. But overall, some good changes for the Leopard. The speed and the maneuverability is still there. It gets a little bit more armor, it gets a bigger weak spot, and also it gets a better round. So hopefully that means that people are a little bit more happier about it. The T-64s got shot in the ass and left behind the bike sheds. What has happened to them is they've lost some of their armor. Now, to demonstrate this, what I'm going to do is use the protection analysis. What we're going to do is show you an Abrams with the... that is not an Abrams. With the M77 4-round. And you can pen the lower plate, obviously. And now you can pen parts of the upper glacis. And before, like a shot like this, you would not be able to penetrate. A shot like this, you would not be able to penetrate. Through the turret hasn't really lost a lot, but the upper glacis has lost one of its layers, meaning that penetrating it with the majority of rounds that you will find is now possible, whereas before, the upper glacis was a hell of a hard shot to hit. So let's go 2A4, let's go DM23, the upgraded round. Like, for some reason, the frame rate is getting killed in the protection analysis, but that's because of all the ERA and all that stuff going on. It's changing overall. You can see the equivalent effective. It's 400 at parts, 380. It is 432 at areas, depending on if you add in the ERA or not. But overall, the majority of top-tier vehicles now will go through the T-64B. At the same time, the T-64A lost some armor, meaning that that's going to be easier to go through as well. The Soviets are taking a few hits when it comes to the T-64, but in good news, the T-62M, my hidden gem, is getting a little bit of a buff. So the reload rates, as you can see, 10.7 seconds, and if we go to the tank loader, it can go down to 9.2. Before, the reload rate for the T62M maxed out was 11.97 seconds, so it's gained around about nearly 3 seconds of reload, which was the main gripe I had with this thing. Also, since some people didn't believe me on how thick the cheeks are on this turret, here's 400, go right a little bit, 500, 600, 800, and even around here you're looking at 600 to 500. So if you think you can easily penetrate this, go right ahead. It ain't gonna happen. Like, the turret cheeks on the T62M are insane. Yes, the upper glacis, 315, 320, not the best, but you ain't getting through this turret even with the best rounds in the game. That is why it's the hidden gem of the thing. On top of it, it did not get a new round, but the prices, I believe, changed, or the round's penetration slightly got changed. So its default has 420mm of penetration. The APF SDS3B M28, 880 silver lines, the one that will be majoritarily used, or whatever the word is, 450mm of penetration. If you want to know how effective that is, a lot of people are whooping about the DM23 round. It has 20 more millimeters of penetration than it. The BRs of all these vehicles make absolutely no sense to me. But anyway, the T62M has an amazing APF SDS round now, meaning that if it gets up-tiered into higher tiers, it will be able to survive, and it will be able to do really well, not just because of its armor, but also now because of some nifty weaponry. It's also got all of the survivability stuff, ESS, the laser rangefinder will help to stay at range, smoke grenades, side skirts, it has it all. I am really looking forward to this vehicle. Now, moving on. For the British, the Challenger, literally nothing happened, good riddance. The Type 90, it now has its blowout doors. When we tested it on the dev server last time, hitting the ammunition just ammo-racked it straight away. We do have a video testing some armor and also some blowout doors coming soon, and I have it all recorded, I just have to put it together. But just, the blowout doors work on the Type 90 now, and you do have to use FPE to be able to distinguish the fire, same as the Leopard 2A4's one. The Abrams one seems a little bit different when it all comes to it, and I believe the armor was changed on this thing as well. So if we, let's say, get the USSR, T64B, I'm not sure it'll be able to stop this, but I'll have a look. No, it can stop it. So this is the upgraded round on the T64B. This is the standard round with 440. This is 475. So this is one of the meanest rounds this is going to run into, apart from the AMX40, which we'll get into. So 460mm of effective thickness for kinetic on the turret of the Type 90. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then on the left side, you nearly have 500. The kill shot is here and here, going through the gun mantlet or going through here where there is no extra armor. As you can see, this is basically the same kill spot as the Abrams. You're looking at 50mm of armor. It only has a crew of 3, so you just have to pop the turret and you'll be fine. This area here, 466, and then just ricochet all along it. I have no idea why that is the case, but it is the case. Low glacis, only 100. So the kill shots are here at the turret ring, then here, and if you try and shoot it at the cheeks of this thing, you ain't gonna go through. It's as simple as that. The 5-second reload holds for the Type 90, which is nice to see. On top of this, because of its different rounds, you know, we have a look at the JM33 900 silver lines a shot. All of these rounds are incredibly expensive, but it does get a good default with 650 chemical on it, so that's at least nice to see. The next vehicle, which I think has come a surprise to a lot of people, is the AMX40. So the AMX40 has the best round in game now. Now you may be surprised. I was also surprised, but I knew about the history of this round, of the 120mm G at CN 120 gun. I knew about the APF SDS round it had, but I thought that they would do some balancing to it to try and make it so it wasn't as good as you may think it was. Well, it seems like they've thrown the baby out with the bathwater and decided to make this round the best in game for a 9.0 vehicle with a reload of 8.2 seconds, not fully upgraded. 550 millimeters of penetration. This is slightly better than the round that you find on the Type 90, but it is better. It also travels at exactly the same speed as everything else. There is no downside to this round, apart from the fact it costs 900 silver lions to fire, which at this tier I don't think many people care about. It has 10 degrees of gun depression, and this will just chew everything up. I don't even know what to say. The AIM X40 now will be able to annihilate anything it sees. And to give you some reference, we'll take out the Abrams. The Abrams is seen as the best tank right now in the game. I would have to disagree, but we're not going to get into that right now. So let's go France, AIM X40, heat shell, 550. Right. What's that, 410? It's going to annihilate the Abrams. It can penetrate it anywhere. Right, let's go to the Leopard 2A4, which is the next top tier vehicle. Just remember, the AMX is 9.0, not 9.7. So let's get this up. France, 40. There we go. Oh, look, straight through the turret. At 1,500 meters, by the way. This is at 1,500 meters. Armor penetration, 520, 1,500 meters. Right? Most of the time, you're going to be engaging maybe around 500. So it's going to go through the whole of the Leopard. You're going to have to really cock up the shot to not go through the Leopard. Let's go on your next tank. Hey T64, how's life? Not very good, is it? Right, 500. Let's see, can you bounce some? Oh, there are some areas, but the majority you will be able to go through, especially since we're using the T64B. How about we use the right tank? Here we go, 500 meters. Oh, that's a lot of green. That's a lot of green. Okay, so T64B, you can literally pen everywhere, especially with the armor nerfs. Challenger, not going to bother. Type 90, protection analysis. And then, I love it how it defaults to itself. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But anyway, so, turret cheeks. You remember how the Leopard was struggling and the Abrams was struggling and the T64 was struggling? Well, the AMX40 ain't struggling. It's going straight through you, baby. It's going to annihilate you. Upper glacis, lower glacis. There hasn't been a single tank yet with any red on it to this round. Like, this round is going to annihilate everything it touches. I don't really understand why this machine is 9.0 now with this round. It has good maneuverability, slightly less, I would say, than the Type 90 and the Leopard 2A4. Its armor's garbage, but, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know how many times I have to talk about how armor in general at these top tiers only makes a difference in really small circumstances, but now it has the best round in game, and it's not even the top BR. And it's not as if it's hampered by its reload. Its reload is 6.7 top, base 8.7. That is amazing. Absolutely astonishing vehicle. Something that I did miss out on the Type 90 is that its smoke launch is now, set off in 2 sets. So that is something to think about. But I cannot believe why they've done this. Like, I understand people want historical accuracy for these vehicles, and that's completely fine, right? I also want historical accuracy for them. The issue is how some vehicles are allowed to get it and others aren't. I'm looking at you, Challenger, and I'm looking at this. So, the AMX40 is a slightly larger silhouette than all of the others, but it now has the best coaxial. Oh, I know people get annoyed I call it a coaxial, but it is a coaxial in my head. It has the best round in game. It has a good enough reload. It also has not the best armor, but it doesn't really matter. And it also, on top of everything, has blowout doors. This is another 9.0 just alongside the XM1 with blowout doors. And what is the disadvantage of this machine again? I mean, I suppose it's slightly less maneuverable than all of its counterparts at 9.7. I'm going to talk about this thing as if it is a 9.7 because it should be talked about as if it's a 9.7. because it's going to be at 9.7 all the time, and it's going to chew up everything. Unfortunately, the only issue with this is that it is going to be by itself alone at the top of the French tech tree. You do have a good AA to back it up. You also have good jets to back it up, and but you don't really have a secondary vehicle to back it up unless you're talking about the AA. I mean, you have the Brennus. I mean, good luck with that at 9.7. So you better do this thing justice. It is a glass cannon at the end of the day. It also has some weird angles on it when it comes to where you can penetrate it and all that. But overall, it's to me, now it's the best 9.0, because it can actually deal with the T62M, which is the one vehicle which I thought its armor would matter. Because of this machine, armor doesn't matter anymore. It didn't matter before. I thought it was making a comeback. I was completely wrong. Also, on top of it, I just want to show one thing, and this is for, I want to get your name right, buddy, because he did ask me in a comment to have a look. This is for Luke the Potato. He asked me to have a look at the Key 67's armor. I know this is kind of random for a lot of you, but some people sometimes have requests, so let's have a look. 70mm bulletproof glass, 12.7, and steel 7mm. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.